The end of the world once again comes to Hollywood's big screens, with movies ranging from big-budget action to adventures putting their twist on the apocalypse. Amid the often complex and paradoxical relationship between Hollywood and American Christianity lies the dichotomy between the archaic and the futuristic, and the way in which biblical beliefs have been intertwined into the seemingly discordant realm of science fiction. Let's find out Rapture cover-up. Is Hollywood preparing us for upcoming doom? Hollywood, as an institution that has often been regarded as pronouncedly secular, was once deemed at the opposite end of the cultural spectrum to American evangelical belief, in much the same way that science and religion are often identified as conflicting arenas of ideological latitude. Most people know that the last days include wars in the Middle East, earthquakes, Armageddon, the Antichrist, the Rapture, and the number 666. During the final hours of the tribulation, 2/3 of mankind will die from the various judgments, and those who come to faith after the rapture will be under constant threat from the Antichrist. But immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light, and the stars will fall from the sky, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken, and then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in the sky. And then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of the sky with power and great glory. And he will send forth his angels with a great trumpet, and they will gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of the sky to the other. Matthew 24:29-31. Eschatology is a popular but notoriously difficult area of Christian theology. There are near as many theories on how to interpret the book of Revelation, for example, as there are books in the Left Behind series. One of the most contested elements of evangelical end-time scholarship is the rapture, specifically when it will take place in relation to other eschatological events like the tribulation and the return of Christ to earth. The rapture is the doctrine that at the return of Christ, all believers will be caught up to meet the Lord in the air. The bodies of dead believers will be resurrected, and all believers, living and dead, will be glorified. After the rapture of the church, Christians will be brought before the judgment seat of Christ. He will reward them on the basis of the work they have accomplished. This is not a judgment to determine their salvation, but a reward for labor on Christ's behalf. The rapture will also inaugurate a period that the Bible characterizes as the great day of his wrath, the great tribulation, and the time of Jacob's trouble. This time of unprecedented difficulty will affect Israel and all nations. Its purpose will be to prepare Israel for her Messiah. At the end of the tribulation, Jesus Christ will return with the hosts of heaven, as well as the church, to establish the Messianic kingdom on earth. His kingdom will last for 1,000 years. At this second coming, the Antichrist will be cast into the lake of fire, and Satan will be bound for 1,000 years. Israel will be restored to her land, never more to be removed. Christ will reign with firmness and equity. His kingdom will be marked by material and spiritual blessings, since the curse upon the earth will be removed. The Messianic kingdom will close with apostasy and rebellion. Post-tribulational rapture scholar Dr. Robert Gundry also equates the rapture with the second coming in Matthew 24:31. Post-tribulationists, contends Gundry, equate the rapture with the gathering of the elect by angels at the sound of the trumpet, Matt 24:31. Unlike Erwin Baxter, Dr. Gundry does interact with the rapture passage, 1 Thessalonians 4:13-18. He says, "If we define the rapture strictly as a catching up, only one passage in the entire New Testament describes it. That passage is 1 Thessalonians 4:13-18. During the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union, particularly as the threat of nuclear war grew, prophecies about the rapture gained currency. In the late 20th and early 21st centuries, the idea was prominent in popular culture, in part because of the millennialist fervor that arose as the year 2000 approached. As far as can be ascertained, the genre of rapture filmmaking began with the release of the 10-minute nonfiction presentation, The Rapture by Carlos Baptista, in 1941. Baptista, an Illinois businessman of Venezuelan descent, had produced his first film, The Story of a Fountain Pen, 2 years before, and the Rapture was released on 16mm through his Scriptures Visualized Institute. Despite both its brevity and simplicity, the film nevertheless set up a number of themes and motifs that still find echoes in contemporary Rapture films. Speeding trains, we are told by the film's narrator, will plunge unsuspecting passengers into a black eternity as Christian engineers are snatched from the throttle. Families will also be torn apart, with fathers missing from some, mothers missing from others, babies snatched from others. The Thief in the Night series' main contribution to its genre was primarily within two areas. Firstly, its post-Rapture salvational economy, and second, its portrayal of the post-Rapture geopolitical rule of the Antichrist through a reborn Roman Empire. Whereas the Rapture implied that all Christians would be taken away in the Rapture, leaving only the unsaved behind to face the tribulation, the Thief series introduces the idea that many Christians will also be left behind. These nominal Christians, the films claim, may believe themselves to be Christians, but they are instead practicing a form of apostate religion. Apocalypses can be viewed as good, evil, ambiguous, or neutral, depending on the particular religion or belief system promoting them. However, it is not exclusively a religious idea, and there are end times or transitional scenarios based on modern science, technology, political discourse, and conspiracy theories. One of the biggest, highest-grossing movies of 2019 is actually The Wandering Earth 2019, an end-of-the-world movie that few people have heard of. That's because it's huge in China, where it was made, but US movie watchers can see it now thanks to Netflix. It follows the disaster movie mold, chronicling a group of scientists who seek to physically move the Earth to get it away from the ever-expanding sun while avoiding collision with Jupiter. Indeed, Hollywood's dalliance with biblical notions of apocalypse towards the end of the 1990s at times appeared to configure precisely into the evangelical end-time narrative. In fact, a 2002 poll commissioned by Time magazine found that 59% of Americans believed that the apocalyptic events prophesied in the Book of Revelation would in some way come true. Millennial doom or not, the mid to late 90s marked a key period of religious reventure for Hollywood. Before this, from the mid-60s onwards, Hollywood had started to exhibit a level of individualist alienation from traditional modes of American religious belief. Indeed, along with film historians such as Stephen Prince, they argued that Hollywood, from this point, remained disproportionately anti-establishment in its social and political views throughout the 1980s and into the 1990s. Now a decade into the new millennium, it seems that evangelical doctrines have become a far more pervasive feature in Hollywood's apocalyptic vision, and the fact that the traditionally opposing factions of Hollywood and religion are now confluent in a more deterministic view of the world's end is worthy of further examination. Although the extinction of humanity and ideas of determinism had featured previously in science fiction films, this was more a brand of scientific determinism, invariably wrapped up within time travel conundrums. For example, The Terminator, James Cameron, 1984, and 12 Monkeys. And yet, whether horror or adventure, what these different evangelical rapture stories have in common is something we see again and again throughout the popular culture of Revelation, a widespread fascination with apocalyptic violence and diabolical evil that trumps the beauty of its final vision of a new heaven and new earth. So that's it. Please like, share, and comment your thoughts below if you liked this video. Remember to subscribe to see our next video. Stay safe, and we will be back soon with another video.